Hello guys, good evening and welcome back. All right, so in this video I want to show us how we can cut our English trouser with another method. Now this method is so simple and nice, but then before you make use of the method, you are going to be perfect in your measurement. Now after that, you must have folded your fabric in this form. Now the next you will do is you mark out a base at the beginning point, and then you apply your crotch depth, which is 11, and then the crouch was gotten by hips over 4. With the hips we have is 44. Then the next you will do is you mark your trouser length plus extra 2 inches. Now the length we have is 38.5. Then add extra 2 to that. It's going to give us 40.5. You have those lines marked in that form. Then you mark it twice in order to achieve a straight line. The crouch was gotten by hips over 4. The hip we have is hips of 44 over 4 is 11. Then apply the length of trouser plus extra 2 inches, but then at the inner hem you are going to minus half from there. That's 41.5. Sorry, you add half to it, making it to be 41. The inner leg is a bit longer than the outside seam. Now the reason for that is to make sure that after sewing the inner leg doesn't jump up or go high. Then you rule the lines. Then the outside seam is 40.5, that's 8 plus 2, while the inner seam is 41, extra half inch longer than the outside seam. Then rule the line in that form. Then after that, you measure from your crotch depth, you calculate your knee point, you divide the total distance from the crotch depth to your knee point, get the middle. You have to be 13.75, 13.25, 3/4. Then you mark 13.75 there. Now, that will be your knee point. Then you minus 3 inches to get exact of your knee point, right? So the knee point now becomes 10.75. That's if you measure from the crotch depth to your ankle measurement, divide by 2, then minus 3, you have your knee point. Invariably, you can just measure from here and get the total distance from there, and then use it for your knee point, which is likely to be 9 to 10 inches from your crotch depth. Then after which, then you are to come in at the hem by 2 inches, and then 1 inch at the knee point, and then half inch at the crotch depth, to give you that curvy effect at the side seam of your trousers. Then after this, now you connect the lines as shown. You have your line coming in that form, and then you come to your crotch depth. Then you apply your laps. The lap measurement is 25. Divide by 2, you have 12.5. You mark at 12.5 there. Then you are to come to your knee. Knee is 17. Divide by 2, you have 8.5. Extra half inch to that. 8.5 is extra 1 inch. That's giving us 9.5 on your knee line. Then you come to the ankle line. Ankle is 14. Divide by 2, you have 7 plus extra 1. Extra 1. You mark that as shown, and then connect the lines in this form. Make sure the lines are well connected with your straight ruler. You have the lines coming in this form. Then after this, you make sure the line is going as shown on this video, right? Then after this, the next you will do now is to mark your lap measurement coming by 2 inches from there. You come in by 2 inches from there, and then you take the line straight to your waistline. Then after this, you now apply your waist backwards, waist 35, which is going to give us 8.75. 8.75. 8.75 is 35 plus extra 1 inch. You mark in that form and then connect it as well. Note very well that the line from the hip went straight to the waistline. Then you have the curve coming on the pocket area. Then from there, you make a little curve with your hip curve. You try to curve it in this form, and then you have a curve coming out in this form. And then after which you slope your trouser by half an inch. You slope by half an inch that way, and then with the help of your ruler also you connect as shown. connect as shown that way, and then you are to mark your zip flap or fly, which is 7. You mark 7 there, and then give it that X-like marking, and then you are to, from there, freehand sketch, you do your connections in that form, get an arc connecting that lap measurement to the line that came down from the west point. So this is the pictorial image or view of our trouser. Don't forget how we got the crouch was dividing the hip by 4. Then you mark the depth measurement. There is no deduction in whatsoever measurement you have. Then after which you measure the total distance from the crouch to the ankle line, and then get minus 3 inches from it, and then mark as your knee point, and then you cut as shown. You cut as shown. Now, as you can see, we have cut out the front block. Now it's now time for us to cut the back bodies. So pay attention to this back cutting, which seems to be one of the most interesting parts or reasons why this video is being made. You know, I have received a lot of comments, requests asking me another method we can use. So at this point, you extend the crouch depth on the back panel as shown, and then you are to mark from there 2.5 inches there. Now you come to the west point as well. You come to your west point as well. You are to raise there by 2 inches as well. 2 inches or 1.5 is the minimum you can use. 2 inches is the maximum, right? So raise the back panel by 2 inches, and then you now start to reapply the hip measurement. Now the hip we have there is a hip line of 44. So the hip we have here is hip line of 44. So 44 by 4 is 11. You mark 11 there, then add extra 1.5 inch to that. You must make sure your hip measurement is correct. That is the only way it can work. Then you also come to the waist again, and then reapply the waist. The waist we have is 35. Divide by 4, you have 8.75, and then extra 1.5 as well. Sorry, the back waist is extra 3 inches. The reason being that the dart effects and the sewing allowances will now augment, or will now be used to take care of the darts and every other allowances needed. Then connect the lines as shown, and then you come all through that way, and then you now use your freehand sketch, and then you lap this to the knee point, right? You lap it to your knee point. Now the back and front block are equal on width. The front and back block are equal. Then from there you make your freehand sketch and go all through this way. You go all through this way. Now this trouser is going to give you one of the most perfect and simplest methods of drafting. Then but make sure your measurements are correct. So let me have a recap of what I said on the west panel. So I said on the west area you are to remark the west measurement again from the point of the front block. Then once you have marked your west from here to this point, this which gave us 8.75, and then you add extra 3 inches. Now these 3 inches will take care of both your dart effects, your sewing allowances, and the inseam allowances needed or that should be left in the trouser. Then the same thing applied on the hip. You start from here again, mark your hip measurements on the back panel, and then extra 2.5 inches as well. Then connect the 3 inches to your real hip measurement, and then make a cut from here to this point. And then you now come down from the 2.5. Now slope it outrightly to the knee point. Then you have to cut at exact measurement. So now we want to cut the lining for the front panel. Then you make sure the lining is placed this way, and make sure that the salvage edge is showing this way, right? Your salvage edge must come here. and not where you weave or fold. Make sure this salvage edge, this is called salvage edge, where you have the hair-like effect on the lining, must be here. Now the lining will be positioned at the knee length. As you can see, the knee length is properly positioned, and then you cut from here. You cut from here. Make sure the cutting goes in that form. You cut from there, and then you have to increase it by extra 1 inch or thereabout. Then cut out this side as well. Cut out this side as well in this form. Make sure it's properly cut out in this form. Make sure it's cut out in this form, and then you are to push it frontwards. Now that's the easiest way to get your curve coming out nicely. Now the lining is a bit wider than the main block by 2 inches or thereabout. The reason for this is to make sure that there is no compression or contracting of the bodies of the trouser. Then cut out as shown from this direction, and after which you are done with the lining, you now go ahead in your gumming and then subsequently in your stitching aspects. Right here we are marking our band for our English trouser. So the width is 2.5, and what we are using to gum this is our regular gum stick. So you mark 2.5 inches for the band. It must be in a straight line, so you connect the lines as shown. Please, very important, you connect the lines as shown. You draw these lines as shown, draw as well, and then I'll also show you how to gum it.